What's up guys, it's Smitty back with another NBA video. Today we're going to look at some potential Victor Oladipo trade options for this season. The Rockets have had an unfortunate start to this season, despite having some valuable pieces like John Wall, Victor Oladipo, and Christian Wood. I think it's time that the Rockets embrace the tank, considering that these pieces just don't mesh well. I think that the Rockets could get some crazy stuff for John Wall and Victor Oladipo, but today we're just going to be focusing on Big V. Before we get into this video, it would be awesome if you would check to see if you're subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's completely free, takes 1 second to do, and it really helps my channel grow. According to YouTube statistics, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed, so every one of you is much appreciated. Also, if you happen to enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, as it lets me know if y'all want more content like this. Thank y'all so much for the support. Enjoy y'all. Starting off with a simple trade, I have the Rockets getting Goran Dragic and Kendrick Nunn from the Miami Heat, who gets Victor Oladipo. I honestly think that the Rockets kind of get snubbed in this deal. Maybe the Heat would have to add a pick or something, but the premise of this deal still stands. The Rockets get Goran Dragic, which basically is just to fill up the salary cap, and then Kendrick Nunn, who's a great young piece, who I just don't think is fitting well on the Heat, considering they have Tyler Hero. I think that Nunn could definitely average around 5 more points per game if given the opportunity on the Rockets lineup. Also, this deal further propels the Heat into championship contention, giving them a lineup with Victor Oladipo, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and whoever else they want to put at the power forward and center position. A secondary option for this deal featuring the Heat would be a 3-team deal that includes the Cleveland Cavaliers. This deal kind of gets every team a little bit more what they want, and yeah, it makes the Heat even better. In this deal I have the Rockets still getting Goran Dragic and Kendrick Nunn, but then the Cavs come in and offer the Heat Andre Drummond for Precious, Andre Iguodala, and Maurice Harkless. Considering that Andre Drummond only has 1 year left on his deal, this is a pretty good deal for the Cavs, and this is also considering that they aren't even playing Andre Drummond right now because of all that backlash with those trades. But yeah, the Cavs are really putting Jarrett Allen in the spotlight, and they literally have nothing to do with Andre Drummond. He has to leave the team. So yeah, I think Precious, he's a great talent. He's on a 4-year deal. I think that's a great pickup for the Cavs. Iguodala just makes the contracts work, and Maurice Harkless, same with Andre Iguodala, just makes the contracts work. As for the Heat, though, they end up with a pretty stacked lineup. They got Oladipo that they could probably run at point guard, Tyler Hero at the shooting guard, Jimmy Butler at the 3, Adebayo at power forward, and Drummond at the 5. I wouldn't say that this makes the Heat the favorites. It would be pretty close between them and obviously the Bucks, the 76ers, and the Nets. But at the moment, I don't think that they can get into the top 3 teams in the East, but with the addition of Drummond and obviously Victor Oladipo, they could definitely get into the top 3, maybe even the top 2. It's a lot to say that they might be able to beat the Nets with this roster. Personally, I don't think they would if KD's healthy, but the Heat definitely need a little bit more pieces in order to get into championship contention, and I think that adding Oladipo and Drummond definitely achieves that. Not to mention, they still have a decent bench. They have Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and of course Duncan Robinson off the bench. Next up, we have a trade featuring the Rockets, the New Orleans Pelicans, and the New York Knicks. This trade is a little bit iffy. This would be more of a blockbuster type trade. This would have to consider that if the Knicks really wanted to make a playoff push, maybe make it to the second round, and if they were feeling desperate, they might go for this. I'm not quite sure what the Knicks' outlook is. They might just be wanting to develop their young talent. In that case, this trade has no chance of going through. But if the front office was seeming a little bit desperate, they might pull the trigger on a deal like this. And the Pelicans, in this deal, they get a great young star to pair with Zion, and obviously Brandon Ingram. And then the Rockets would get some picks, which the Rockets are kind of in the same situation as the OKC Thunder. They're kind of like trying to blow it up and get some picks, which I think is actually a great thing for the Rockets organization. Obviously, the OKC Thunder are stacked with their picks, and they'll probably be a future super team if their picks turn out. But in this deal, I have the Rockets getting Obi Toppin. He's on a $4.8 million deal for 4 years. I think that's a great acquisition for the Rockets. Then they get a 2021 round 1 pick via New York and a 2022 round 2 pick via New York. These picks I think are worth it for Victor Oladipo, considering Oladipo only has 1 year left on his contract, and those round 1 and round 2 picks will probably be middle of the pack. I think that even with the guys that the Knicks are acquiring in this trade, they might not even make it to the second round, depending on who they play in the first round. And then in this trade, I have the Pelicans getting RJ Barrett, who's on an $8.2 million deal for 3 years. Of course, Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel. Derrick Rose and Nerlens Noel are in this deal just to make the contracts work. Even though the Knicks have a ton of cap space at the moment, this trade would definitely fill it up completely, because the Knicks are getting Victor Oladipo, who has a $21 million contract, Steven Adams with a $27.5 million contract, and Eric Bledsoe with a $16.8 million 3-year contract. So obviously, I think the Knicks organization is trying to free up their cap space on purpose for this offseason, but I still think there is a chance a deal similar to this could go down where they go straight to win now. Julius Randle is quite young, but honestly, if you were to put these pieces around him, they definitely have a better chance at making it to the second round. The Knicks would end up with a lineup of Eric Bledsoe probably at the point, Oladipo at the 2. They'd probably have to fit Alec Burks at the 3, Julius Randle at the 4, and Steven Adams at the 5. And they would have a decent bench squad with Elfrid Payton, Emmanuel Quickley, Kevin Knox, Taj Gibson, and Robinson at the 5. Honestly, I think the Knicks, if they're trying to win now, they win the trade. But I don't quite know what the front office is trying to do there. If they are trying to develop the young talent, like I mentioned earlier, they better be keeping RJ. But speaking about RJ, the Pelicans would have a pretty nice young core. They would still have Lonzo Ball, which he's in trade talks right now, but they might keep him in this case. They have RJ Barrett and Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram. That's pretty stacked if you're talking about young talent. And in 3 to 4 years, that team could probably win a championship. So, yeah, all in all, I think that this trade does achieve a lot for all 3 of the teams in the deal. If the Knicks are trying to win now, if the Pelicans are trying to get an extra young piece, and if the Rockets are trying to pick up some extra picks. And the final trade we're going to look at today for Victor Oladipo is a trade with the Rockets and the Celtics. The Celtics aren't in the best position right now. I know Kemba was injured for a lot of the season. They're definitely going to make the playoffs. Right now the East is all up for grabs. I think that the Celtics could end up with a top 4 seed potentially. But still, I don't think the Celtics are quite in the championship contenders tier of teams, but they still have so much talent on their squad. They might be able to do it, but honestly, I think they do need one more piece to compete with the teams like the Nets, because the Nets are just so star-studded. And even though the Celtics have a big 3 themselves, it's not quite the same as the Nets, because Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are still both extremely young. And even though that is a good thing in most cases, if you're trying to win now, you're going to want some more veteran players. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown don't have that much playoff experience, considering they're only like 23 and 24 years old. But yeah, in this trade, the Celtics would obtain Victor Oladipo, which I think definitely pushes them into the championship contenders. Then you basically have a big 4 with a decent center in Tice. And also in this deal, the Rockets would get Aaron Nesmith and Jeff Teague to make the contracts work, and 2 picks from Boston. One is a 2021 round 1 pick via Boston, and a 2022 round 1 pick via Boston. In this trade, the reason why the 2 first-round picks from Boston somewhat equals what they get in the trade with the Knicks, where they get 1 round 1 pick and round 2 pick, is because the Boston picks are guaranteed to be a bad pick. Because I know damn well the Boston Celtics are making it out of the second round, maybe even getting into the third round. So their picks are probably going to be one of the last ones. But in the Knicks trade, there still is a chance the Knicks don't make it out of the first round. So their round 1 pick would be kind of middle of the pack, maybe even a lottery pick. So I think that this deal is quite fair. Aaron Nesmith has a little bit of trade value, but nothing too big. And Jeff Teague, he's kind of almost free agent level. He's mainly just to make the contracts work. And yeah, as I said before, the Celtics end up with a lineup of Kemba Walker, Victor Oladipo, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Daniel Tice, with a bench of Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard, Williams, Semi Ojeleye, and Tristan Thompson. That squad is definitely a championship contender. I still don't know if I'd put them above the Nets, but they would be my second pick in the East, above even the 76ers and the Bucks. Thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this situation and the trade options I presented. Keep in mind that I am no professional at this, and for all I know, Victor Oladipo might not get traded this season. That's why I'm not a GM in the NBA. But anyways, if you happen to enjoy this video, consider leaving a like, as it will recommend this video to other people, and if you like basketball, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I post all sorts of basketball related content on here. Anyways, this is Smitty, signing off.